Welcome to Warhammer 40k 8th edition Battle Report 42, 1500 points, Tau Empire versus World Eaters. This will be the chapter approved Eternal War mission, Dominate and Destroy, and we will be rolling for a random map deployment today. Let's take a quick look around the board at where each of the objective markers have been placed. Starting in this 2 foot by 2 foot section, the objective marker has been placed right here next to this ruin. In this middle 2 foot by 2 foot section, the objective marker has been placed up here next to this crater. In this third 2 foot by 2 foot section, the objective marker has been placed right here next to this crater. On the other side of the board, in this 2 foot by 2 foot section, the objective marker has been placed right here next to this crater. In this middle 2 foot by 2 foot section, the objective marker has been placed up here next to this ruin. And finally, in this 2 foot by 2 foot section, the objective marker has been placed right here next to this crater. And now we will roll for the random map, getting a 6, which is Vanguard Strike. So on a roll of a 1, 2, or 3, the deployment zones will be in the top left corner of the board and the bottom right. And on a 4, 5, or 6, it'll be the bottom left corner and the top right corner for the deployment zones. And so here's the roll, rolling a 3. So the deployment zones will be the top left corner of the board and the bottom right. So now on a roll of a 1, 2, or a 3, the Tau Empire will deploy in the top left corner and the World Eaters will deploy in the bottom right corner. On a roll of a 4, 5, or 6, it will be the opposite, so Tau Empire in the bottom right corner and World Eaters in the top left. And here's the roll, rolling another 3. So the Tau Empire will deploy in the top left corner and the World Eaters will deploy in the bottom right. So now on a roll of a 1, 2, or 3, the Tau Empire will begin to deploy first, and on a 4, 5, or 6, the World Eaters will begin to deploy first. Rolling a 2, and so the Tau Empire will begin to deploy first. We will be back after the deployment. The deployment is now finished. The Tau Empire began to deploy first, but the World Eaters finished deploying first, which means that the World Eaters will get +1 during the roll-off to determine who goes first. So now let's take a quick look around the board at where each army placed all of their units. Beginning with the World Eaters deployment, going from right to left from the Tau Empire's perspective, we have the Khorne Lord of Skulls, the first squad of 10 Chaos Cultists, the Chaos Land Raider with this squad of 3 Mutilators and Karn the Betrayer embarked inside, the Warlord, Demon Prince of Khorne with wings, the second squad of 10 Chaos Cultists, and finally the third squad of 10 Chaos Cultists. Moving over to the Tau Empire deployment, going from right to left from the World Eaters perspective, we have the first squad of 10 Fire Warriors. Right behind them is the first Cadre Fireblade. Next is the second squad of 10 Fire Warriors. Right behind the Fire Warriors, in the doorway of the ruin, is the second Cadre Fireblade. The first squad of 10 Pathfinders. This squad has the 3 Ion Rifles. The first Storm Surge, the Warlord Commander, the second Storm Surge, the second squad of 10 Pathfinders, and finally the third squad of 10 Fire Warriors. For a full overview of both armies with all of the war gear that they are bringing, please check out the pregame show which was released at the beginning of the group. The link for the pregame show will be in the description down below. Also a reminder that for this battle report, both the Tau Empire and the World Eaters will have 8 command points each available. So now we will roll off to determine who will go first. The World Eaters, who finished deploying first, will be the gold and blue dice and get +1 to their roll. The Tau, who finished deploying second, will get no modifier and they will be the white dice. And here's the roll, and both roll a 3, which means that the World Eaters will get a roll of a 4 after the modifier and win the roll-off. But this will mean that the Tau Empire will have an opportunity to attempt to seize the initiative on a 6, and they fail by rolling a 3. So let's move into World Eaters, turn 1. Going into World Eaters turn 1, a reminder that the World Eaters have 8 command points available, and the Tau Empire also have 8 command points available. Going into the movement phase, this squad of 10 Chaos Cultists will remain still controlling this objective marker. This squad of 10 Chaos Cultists will move up to 6 inches and they will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, getting 1 additional inch, And the World Eaters will use 1 command point going from 8 down to 7 for a command reroll to reroll the 1. And here's the reroll, now getting 5 inches. So the squad of 10 Chaos Cultists will move up to 11 inches. The Chaos Land Raider will move up to 10 inches. The Demon Prince of Khorne with Wings, who is the Warlord, will move up to 12 inches. The third squad of 10 Chaos Cultists will move up to 6 inches, and they will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling just 1 additional inch. So this squad of 10 Chaos Cultists will move up to 7 inches. Finally, the Khorne Lord of Skulls will move up to 10 inches. Going into the shooting phase, we will begin with the Chaos Land Raider, which will fire its Combi Melta and its Twin Heavy Bolter into the squad of 10 Pathfinders, the squad that has the ion rifles. And then the Chaos Land Raider will fire its 2 Twin Last Cannons into the Storm Surge, this one right here. So beginning with the Combi Melta, only the bolt gun is in range and not rapid fire range, so 1 shot hitting on a 3, rerolling 1s thanks to the Demon Prince getting a hit. Strength 4 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on a 3, and it fails to wound. 6 shots from the Twin Heavy Bolter, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, getting 5 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting 4 wounds. Minus 1 AP, but plus 1 thanks to being in the ruin. So 4 5-up armor saves, failing all 4. So 4 regular Pathfinders will go down, leaving 6 models left alive in the squad. 4 shots from the 2 Twin Last Cannons, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits and 1 miss. And the World Eaters will spend 1 command point going from 7 down to 6 for a command reroll to reroll the 2. And here's the reroll, getting a 4th hit. Strength 9 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 3 AP, so 2 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1. And it will do D6 damage, and it will do 6 damage. So this Storm Surge will fall from 20 starting wounds down to 14. Finally, the Khorne Lord of Skulls will fire everything that it can into the same Storm Surge, which is now down to 14 wounds. And the World Eaters are going to use the stratagem Demon Forge for 1 command point, bringing them from 6 down to 5. Use this stratagem in your shooting or fight phase when a Chaos Space Marine's demon vehicle is chosen to attack. You can re-roll failed hit and wound rolls for that model until the end of the phase. And so we will begin with D6 shots from the Skull Hurler, getting 2 shots. Hitting on 3s, re-rolling, getting a hit and a re-roll. And here's the re-roll, getting 2 hits. Strength 9 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, re-rolling, getting 2 wounds. Minus 3 AP, so 2 4-up invulnerable saves, and passing both. Now for D6 shots from the Ichor Cannon, getting 6 shots. Hitting on 3s, re-rolling, getting 4 hits and 2 re-rolls. And here's the 2 re-rolls, getting 1 additional hit for 5 hits total. Strength 7 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 4s, re-rolling, getting 4 wounds and 1 re-roll. And here's the re-roll, getting 5 wounds total. Minus 4 AP, so 5 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 2 but failing 3. And the Tau are going to use 1 command point going from 8 down to 7 for a command reroll to reroll the 3. And here's the reroll, and they will pass the extra invuln, only failing 2. And these do D3 damage apiece, and it will do a total of 5 damage. So the Storm Surge will fall from 14 wounds down to 9. Going into the Assault phase, there are no charges to declare, which means going into the Fight phase, there are no fights to resolve. However, going into the Morale phase, this squad of Pathfinders did lose 4 models this turn, and the Shazwi has a leadership of 7, so they could fail on a 4-up. And thanks to Bonding Knife Ritual, on a 1, 2, 3, or 6, they will pass. Only on a 4 or 5 will they lose more models, and so because of that, they won't use Insane Bravery, and they will actually take the morale test. And here's the roll. They roll a 1, so they will pass. At the end of the player turn, the World Eaters are currently controlling 3 objective markers, and so they will gain 3 victory points this turn. And so at the end of World Eaters turn 1, the score currently sits at 3 victory points for the World Eaters and 0 victory points for the Tau Empire. Going Going into Tau Empire turn 1, a reminder that the Tau Empire have 7 command points available, and the World Eaters have 5 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but the commander will declare Kauyon, which will affect himself, the 2 Storm Surges, and the 2 squads of Pathfinders. The squad of Fire Warriors and the Cadre Fireblade over here are just over 6 inches away and therefore will not be affected by it. Also, at the start of the turn, the Tau will use the stratagem Automated Repair System for 2 command points, bring them from 7 down to 5. Use this stratagem at the start of your turn. Pick a vehicle or battlesuit model from your army. That model regains D3 lost wounds. And this will be used on the Storm Surge, who is down to 9 wounds because he's the only wounded model in the army. So it will bring back D3 lost wounds, and it will bring back just 1, but the Tau are going to use 1 command point, going from 5 down to 4 for a command reroll to reroll the 1. And here's the reroll, and they will get 2 wounds back. So the Storm Surge will go back up from 9 wounds to 11, which means that the Storm Surge is back up to its highest tier on its damage chart. So going into the movement phase, the commander, thanks to declaring Kauyon, will remain still, as he is unable to move. The wounded Storm Surge will remain still. The fully healthy Storm Surge will remain still. The squad of 6 Pathfinders will remain still. The squad of 10 Pathfinders will remain still. This squad of 10 Fire Warriors will move up to 6 inches. The Cadre Fireblade will remain still. This squad of 10 Fire Warriors will move up to 6 inches. The Cadre Fireblade will remain still. Finally, this squad of 10 Fire Warriors will move up to 6 inches. Going into the shooting phase, we will begin with this squad of 10 Pathfinders firing all of their marker lights into the Khorne Lord of Skulls. 10 shots with the marker lights hitting on 4s and re-rolling thanks to the commander, activating Kauyon, getting 5 hits and 5 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls, getting 7 hits total. So the Khorne Lord of Skulls will have 7 marker lights placed on it. The fully healthy Storm Surge will begin by firing its Pulse Driver Cannon and its 4 Destroyer Missiles into the Khorne Lord of Skulls, and the Storm Surge will fire its Cluster Rocket System and its 2 Smart Missile Systems into this squad of 10 Chaos Cultists. Beginning with the 4 Destroyer Missiles, and thanks to having 5+ marker lights on the Khorne Lord of Skulls, these will hit at normal ballistic skill, which is ballistic skill of 4 up from the Storm Surge, however adding 1 to hit rolls, and re-rolling fails. So 4 Destroyer Missiles hitting on 3s, re-rolling, thanks to the commander, and getting 4 hits. So 4 D3 mortal wounds. And that's pretty bad, getting only 5 mortal wounds. So the Khorne Lord of Skulls will fall from 28 starting wounds down to 23. The Pulse Driver Cannon will do D6 shots, getting 6 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling, getting 3 hits and 3 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls, still failing to hit. Strength 10 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 4 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system, so 2 5-up in vulns, passing 1 and failing 1. And it will do D6 damage, and it will do 3 damage. So the Khorne Lord of Skulls will fall from 23 wounds down to 20. And the Tau Empire will use the stratagem Focused Fire for 3 command points, bring them from 4 down to 1 left. Use this stratagem after a Tau Sept unit from your army inflicts an unsaved wound on an enemy unit in the shooting phase. You can add 1 to wound rolls for any other Tau Sept unit from your army that target the same enemy unit this phase. So any further wound rolls against the Khorne Lord of Skulls will get to add 1. Now for the Cluster Rocket System against the squad of 10 Chaos Cultists. 4 D6 shots, getting 12 shots, hitting on 4s, re-rolling thanks to the commander, getting 5 hits and 7 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls, getting 9 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, hitting pretty bad 4 wounds, minus 1 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system, but plus 1 thanks to the crater, so 4 6-up armor saves, passing 1 and failing 3. So 3 Chaos Cultists will go down, leaving 7 left alive in the squad. 8 shots from the 2 Smart Missile Systems, hitting on 4s, re-rolling, getting 3 hits and 5 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls, getting 6 hits total. Strength 5 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting 4 wounds. This weapon ignores cover and -1 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system, so no armor saves. So 4 more cultists will go down. So 4 cultists will be removed, leaving 3 models left alive in the squad. This squad of Pathfinders will fire its 3 marker lights into this squad of 10 Chaos cultists, and they will fire their 3 ion rifles into the Khorne Lord of Skulls, beginning with the 3 marker light shots, hitting on 4s, rerolling thanks to the commander and getting 3 hits. So this squad of cultists will gain 3 marker lights. Now for the 3 ion rifles into the Khorne Lord of Skulls, and they will all fire overcharged. So D3 shots apiece, getting 2 1s and 1 2, and they do have to be kept separate because hit rolls of 1 after rerolls will result in models being slain, thanks to suffering mortal wounds. So the first 1-shot ion rifle hitting on a 3, thanks to 5+ marker lights, getting a hit. The second 1-shot ion rifle hitting on a 3, re-rolling, thanks to the commander, and here's the reroll, still failing to hit, but not a 1. And finally, the third ion rifle, which is firing 2 shots, getting 2 misses, re-rolling thanks to the commander, getting a hit and a miss, but no 1s. Somehow getting only 2 hits out of 4 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling. Strength 8 versus toughness 8 means wounding on 4s, but adding 1, thanks to the stratagem and rolling double 1s. So both fail to wound. This Cadre Fireblade will fire its marker light into this squad of 10 Chaos cultists. 1 shot hitting on a 2, and it hits. So 1 additional marker light will be added, bringing the total from 3 marker lights up to 4. And now this Cadre Fireblade will fire its marker light into the squad of 10 Chaos cultists. 1 shot hitting on a 2, and it hits. So this squad of Chaos cultists will have its marker lights increase from 4 up to 5. So now the Wounded Storm Surge will fire its 4 destroyer missiles and its pulse driver cannon into the Khorne Lord of Skulls. It will fire its 2 smart missile systems into this squad of 3 Chaos cultists, and it will fire its cluster rocket system into this squad of 10 Chaos cultists. Beginning with the 4 destroyer missiles hitting on 3s, re-rolling, getting 2 hits and 2 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls, getting 3 hits total. D3 damage apiece, or I should say D3 mortal wounds apiece, for a total of 7 mortal wounds, which is considerably better than the previous Storm Surge, which got all 4 missiles to hit. So the Khorne Lord of Skulls will fall from 20 wounds down to 13. Now for the Pulse Driver Cannon, which will fire D6 shots, and it will get 6 shots. Hitting on 3s, re-rolling, getting 4 hits and 2 re-rolls. And here's the 2 re-rolls, getting 5 hits total. Strength 10 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 3s, but adding 1 to wound rolls thanks to the stratagem-focused fire, so actually wounding on 2s and all 5 wound. -4 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system, so 5 up invulnerable saves. Passing 2, but failing 3. And the World Eaters will go from 5 command points down to 4 for a command reroll to reroll the 4. And here's the reroll, still failing the invulnerable save. So this will do 3 D6 damage, and it will do 15 damage. And so that will finish off the final 13 wounds. And finally, does it explode on a 6? And it will not. So the Khorne Lord of Skulls will be killed off and removed. And that is First Blood. Now for 8 shots from the 2 smart missile systems, hitting on 4s, re-rolling, thanks to the commander, getting 6 hits and 2 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls, getting all 8 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting 4 wounds. But this weapon ignores cover, and thanks to -1 AP from the advanced targeting system, the cultists will not get an armor save. And so that will finish off the final 3 models in the squad, and that squad of Chaos cultists is wiped out. Now for the 4 D6 shots from the cluster rocket system onto the other squad of Chaos cultists, getting 17 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling, getting 13 hits and 4 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls, getting a total of 15 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting 9 wounds. And thanks to having at least 3 marker lights on the squad, they don't get a benefit to their armor save thanks to being in cover, and thanks to -1 AP from the advanced targeting system, that is 9 damage that will go straight through and kill 9 models. So 9 regular Chaos Cultists will be killed off, leaving only the Cultist Champion left alive in the squad. It's kind of a waste of firepower, but the Tau want to make sure that that Chaos Cultist squad is completely wiped out, so the commander will fire its 2 missile pods into the lone Cultist Champion because it is visible to the commander, and within 36-inch range. So 4 shots from the 2 missile pods hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s thanks to himself, and the marker lights getting 2 hits and 2 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls, getting all 4 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, getting 4 wounds, and thanks to advanced targeting system, it is -2 AP, so even without 3+ marker lights, the Chaos Cultist still would not get a save. So the Cultist Champion will be killed off and removed, and that squad of 10 Chaos Cultists is completely wiped out. This squad of 10 Fire Warriors are going to fire their pulse rifles into the Chaos Land Raider because it is closer than the Demon Prince, and 9 of the Fire Warriors are within rapid fire range. And thanks to the Cadre Fireblade being within 6 inches, we will have a total of 28 shots, thanks to 9 of them being within rapid fire range, hitting on 4s, no rerolls, getting only 11 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 4 wounds, no AP, so 4 2-up armor saves, passing all 4. This squad of Fire Warriors is over 30 inches away from any enemy units and therefore will not be able to fire. Finally, this squad of Fire Warriors will fire all of their pulse rifles into the Chaos Land Raider. Only 9 of the Fire Warriors can see, but all 9 that can see are in rapid fire range. So 27 shots hitting on 4s, and we will have 1 cocked dice. So somehow doing way better than the other squad of Fire Warriors, which had an extra shot, getting 17 hits and 1 cocked dice to be rerolled. And here's the cocked dice, still failing to hit. So 17 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 5 wounds. No AP, so 5 2-up armor saves, passing all 5. At the end of the shooting phase, both Storm Surges will deploy their stabilizing anchors. And so going into the assault phase, there are no charges to declare, which means going into the fight phase, there are no fights to resolve, and going into the morale phase, there are no morale checks to take. At the end of the player turn, the Tau Empire are currently controlling 3 objective markers, which means they will gain an additional 3 victory points for this turn. And so at the end of Tau Empire turn 1, the score currently sits at 4 victory points for the Tau Empire thanks to First Blood, and 3 victory points for the World Eaters. Going into World Eaters turn 2, a reminder that the World Eaters have 4 command points available, and the Tau have 1 command point available. Going into the movement phase, this squad of 10 Chaos Cultists will remain still. The Warlord, Demon Prince of Khorne with wings, will move up to 12 inches, and he will also declare an advance. And here's his advance roll, rolling for 5 additional inches. So the Demon Prince of Khorne with wings will move up to 17 inches. Now Karn the Betrayer and the squad of 3 Mutilators inside the Chaos Land Raider will disembark out in front. Karn the Betrayer will move up to 6 inches. The squad of 3 Mutilators will move up to 4 inches. Finally, the Chaos Land Raider will move up to 10 inches. Going into the shooting phase, the Chaos Land Raider will fire its Twin Heavy Bolter and its Combi Melta into this squad of 10 Fire Warriors, and it will fire its 2 Twin Last Cannons into the Storm Surge that is down to 11 wounds. Beginning with the 2 Twin Last Cannons hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to the Demon Prince, getting 3 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting all 4 hits. Strength 9 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting only 2 wounds, but the World Eaters will use 1 command point, going from 4 down to 3, for a command reroll to reroll one of the fails. And here's the reroll, getting a 3rd wound. Minus 3 AP, so 3 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 2, and the Tau will use 1 command point going from 1 down to 0 for a command reroll to reroll one of the 3s. And here's the reroll, still failing the invulnerable save. So 2d6 damage. Ouch! Getting only 2 damage. So the Storm Surge will fall from 11 wounds down to 9. 6 shots from the Twin Heavy Bolter into the squad of Fire Warriors, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 4 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit, so 4 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds. Minus 1 AP, but plus 1 thanks to the crater, so 3 4-up armor saves, passing 1 but failing 2. So 2 Fire Warriors will go down, leaving 8 left alive in the squad. The Combi Melta will fire only the Meltagun portion, so 1 shot hitting on a 3, rerolling 1s, getting a reroll, and here's the reroll, still failing to hit. Karn the Betrayer is not in range to fire. Going into the assault phase, we have 2 charges to declare. First is the Warlord Demon Prince of Khorne with Wings will declare a multi-charge into the squad of 8 Fire Warriors and this Cadre Fireblade. And then finally, the squad of 3 Mutilators will declare a charge into the squad of 10 Fire Warriors. And we will begin with this squad of Mutilators. And this squad of Pathfinders and this Cadre Fireblade will be able to help in Overwatch against the Mutilators. So we will begin with the Cadre Fireblade throwing a Photon Grenade, which will do D6 shots, getting 6 shots, hitting on 5-ups, thanks to coordinated fire arcs, and they will get 2 hits, which means that the Mutilators will have to subtract 1 from hit rolls until the end of this turn. So now the Pathfinders will fire next, beginning with 3 Pulse Carbines from 2 regular Pathfinders and the Pathfinder Shazui. They are not at half range, so only 2 shots apiece for 6 shots total, hitting on 5s and 6s, getting 1 hit. Strength 5 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3, and it wounds. No AP, so 1 2-up armor save, which passes. The 3 ion rifles will fire overcharged shots, so D3 shots apiece. 2 will have 1 shot, and 1 will have 2 shots. And they will be done separately, so the first single shot on a 5, which fails to hit, the second single shot on a 5-up, which will hit, and then the ion rifle that has 2 shots on 5-ups and getting 1 hit. 2 hits total. Strength 8 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 2s, getting 1 wound. Minus 1 AP, so 1 3-up armor save, which fails. So 1 Mutilator will fall from 3 starting wounds, down to 1 left. Finally, 30 shots from the 10 Fire Warriors, which are all in rapid fire range with their pulse rifles, hitting on 5s, getting 12 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, getting 7 wounds. No AP, so 7 2-up armor saves, passing 5 but failing 2. So the 1 wounded Mutilator will be killed off and removed, and a second Mutilator will fall from 3 starting wounds down to 2. And now for their charge range, getting 6 inches, which will be more than enough to make it in. So now we will resolve the charge from the Warlord Demon Prince of Khorne with Wings into the squad of Fire Warriors and the Cadre Fireblade, which means they both will get to Overwatch. Beginning with the Cadre Fireblade, who will attempt to throw a Photon Grenade, which will do D6 shots, getting 3 shots, hitting on 5s and 6s, and all will fail to hit. So now the squad of Fire Warriors will Overwatch, and the Fire Warrior Shazui will attempt to throw a Photon Grenade as well, D6 shots, getting 1 shot, hitting on a 5 or 6, and it will hit. So the Demon Prince will have to subtract 1 from hit rolls. Now for the 21 shots from the 7 pulse rifles in rapid fire range, hitting on 5s and 6s, getting 7 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, and all 7 fail to wound. And the reason why the Demon Prince of Khorne with Wings can still charge even though he advanced is thanks to the Artifact of Chaos, the Talisman of Burning Blood, which allows him to advance and charge in the same turn, and also reroll charge rolls. So here's the charge range, getting 8 inches. And so after subtracting 2 inches for charging through a crater, a 6-inch charge will still be more than enough to make it into combat with both. So going into the fight phase, we will begin with the Demon Prince of Khorne, who is the Warlord. He has 8 attacks with his 2 sets of Malefic Talons, plus an additional attack for charging, thanks to being a World Eater, for 9 attacks total. And so he will place 4 attacks onto the Cadre Fireblade and 5 attacks onto the squad of Fire Warriors. And I just realized that this is now the second turn in a row in which I've forgotten to fire the Warp Bolter that the Demon Prince of Khorne is equipped with. So that's very unfortunate, and I do apologize about that. But starting with the 4 attacks from the Malefic Talons onto the Cadre Fireblade, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, because he was hit with the Photon Grenade, and he'll get 4 hits anyways. Strength 7 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to his Warlord trait. Hatred Incarnate, getting 3 wounds and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting all 4 wounds. Minus 2 AP, so 4 6-up armor saves, failing all 4, and they are 2 damage apiece. So the Cadre Fireblade will lose its 5 starting wounds and be removed. Now for the 5 attacks from the Demon Prince into the squad of Fire Warriors, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to himself, getting 4 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting all 5 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to his Warlord trait, getting 4 wounds and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting all 5 wounds, minus 2 AP, so 5 6-up armor saves, and failing all 5. So 5 Fire Warriors will go down, leaving 3 models left alive in the squad. And so the Demon Prince will consolidate up to 3 inches. And since the Tau Empire have 0 command points left available, they will not be able to use the stratagem counteroffensive, which means that we will continue with World Eater charging units, and the only charging unit left to resolve is the squad of Mutilators onto the squad of 10 Fire Warriors. So the Mutilators will have 4 attacks apiece on the charge, thanks to being World Eaters, but we do first have to resolve the various D3s for their weapon. So first, plus D3 strength, and they will get plus 3 strength, then minus D3 AP, so it'll just do minus 1 AP, and then finally D3 damage apiece, and they'll do 1 damage apiece. So 8 attacks, hitting on 4s thanks to the Photon Grenade, rerolling 1s thanks to the Demon Prince, getting 4 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting a 5th hit. Strength 8 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, getting 4 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 4 5-up armor saves, passing 2 and failing 2. And so 2 regular Fire Warriors will go down. So now this squad of 8 Fire Warriors will pile in and fight back, and the 7 regular Fire Warriors will be in range to fight. 7 attacks total, hitting on 5s. And that's pretty bad. Getting 1 hit. Strength 3 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on a 5, and it wounds. 1 2-up armor save, which passes. Finally, this squad of 3 Fire Warriors will pile in and strike back against the Demon Prince. 4 attacks total, hitting on 5s, and all failed to hit. So now the World Eaters will use the stratagem Fury of Khorne for 3 command points, bring them from 3 down to 0. Use this stratagem at the end of the fight phase, select a Heretic Astartes Khorne infantry or biker unit. That unit can immediately fight again, and this will be used on the Mutilators. So for the second round of attacks, we need to resolve the D3s again. So strength will be plus D3, plus 2 strength, minus 2 AP, and not that this matters against the Fire Warriors, but D3 damage, 3 damage. So 8 attacks, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting a 4th hit. Strength 7 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, getting 4 wounds. And minus 2 AP means 4 6-up armor saves, passing 2 and failing 2. So 2 more Fire Warriors will go down, leaving 6 left alive in the squad. Going into the morale phase, this squad of Fire Warriors lost 7 models this turn. And the Fire Warrior Shazwi has leadership of 7, so they are guaranteed to fail no matter what. However, thanks to Bonding Knife Ritual, on a roll of a 6, they will automatically pass. So the Tau are looking for a 6, and they roll a 4, which means they lose the final 3 models. So the final 2 Fire Warriors and the Fire Warrior Shazwi are removed, and that squad is wiped out. This squad of Fire Warriors lost 4 models this turn, and the Fire Warrior Shazwi has a leadership of 7, so a roll of 1, 2, 3, or 6 will pass. 4 or 5 will fail. and they roll a 1, so they pass and nothing happens. This squad of Mutilators lost 1 model this turn, but they have a leadership of 8, so it is impossible for them to fail. At the end of the player turn, the World Eaters are currently controlling 3 objective markers, and so they will gain 3 victory points this turn, which means that at the end of World Eaters turn 2, we currently have a score of 6 victory points for the World Eaters and 4 victory points for the Tau Empire. Going into Tau Empire turn 2, a reminder that the Tau Empire have 0 command points available, and the World Eaters also have 0 command points available. Going into the movement phase, the wounded Storm Surge, who is down to 9 wounds, will remain still. The fully healthy Storm Surge will also remain still. And a reminder that both Storm Surges have their stabilizing anchors activated. The squad of 6 Pathfinders will remain still. This Cadre Fireblade will also remain still. This squad of 10 Pathfinders will remain still. This squad of 6 Fire Warriors will fall back out of combat from the Mutilators up to 6 inches. The Commander will move up to 8 inches. And he is now sitting on top of this ruin. Finally, this squad of 10 Fire Warriors will reposition slightly up to 6 inches. Going into the shooting phase, we will begin with this squad of 10 Pathfinders firing all 10 marker lights into this Chaos Land Raider. 10 shots hitting on 4s, getting only 2 hits. So the Chaos Land Raider will have 2 marker lights placed on it. This squad of Pathfinders will fire its 3 marker lights into the Chaos Land Raider, and the 3 ion rifles will fire into this squad of Mutilators. Beginning with the 3 marker lights hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting a hit, a miss, and a reroll. And here's the reroll. Getting 2 hits. So the Chaos Land Raider will increase from 2 marker lights up to 4. The 3 ion rifles will fire overcharge shots, so D3 shots apiece, getting 1 ion rifle with 1 shot and 2 ion rifles with 2 shots. And because they could cause mortal wounds on themselves, they have to be done separately. So first the 1 ion rifle with 1 shot, hitting on a 4, and it hits. The first ion rifle with 2 shots, hitting on 4s, getting a hit and a miss, but no 1s. And the second ion rifle with 2 shots hitting on 4s, getting a hit and a 1. So 3 hits total. Strength 8 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 2s, getting all 3 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 3 up armor saves, passing all 3. And so one of the 3 ion rifles will suffer a mortal wound and be killed off, leaving 5 models left alive in the squad. Now the Cadre Fireblade will fire its marker light into the Chaos Land Raider. 1 shot hitting on a 2 and re-rolling thanks to at least 1 marker light already on the Land Raider. And here's the re-roll, and it will hit. So the Chaos Land Raider will go up from 4 marker lights to 5. This squad of 6 Fire Warriors fell back this turn, and therefore they will not be able to shoot. The fully healthy Storm Surge will fire its Pulse Driver Cannon into this Chaos Land Raider. It will not fire its Burst Cannons because they aren't within 18-inch range of any enemy targets, but the Storm Surge will fire its 2 Smart Missile Systems and its Cluster Rocket System into this squad of 2 Mutilators. And beginning with the Pulse Driver Cannon, which will do D6 shots, and it will do 6 shots. Since he's at full health, he has a ballistic skill of 4, but he gets to add 1 thanks to the marker lights, and also gets to add 1 thanks to his stabilizing anchors. So 6 shots hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s thanks to the marker lights, and a good thing too, getting 3 hits and 3 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls. Getting 5 hits. Strength 10 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 3s. Getting 3 wounds. Minus 4 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system. So 3 6-up armor saves. Failing all 3, and they will do D6 damage apiece, doing only 7 damage. So the Chaos Land Raider will fall from 16 starting wounds down to 9. 8 shots from the 2 Smart Missile Systems, hitting on 3s thanks to the stabilizing anchors, no rerolls. Getting 4 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, getting only 2 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 2 3-up armor saves, passing both. The cluster rocket system will fire 4 D6 shots, getting 16 shots, hitting on 3s, getting 13 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 4 means wounding on 3s. Getting 7 wounds. Minus 1 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system means 7 3-up armor saves. Passing 5, but failing 2. So the wounded mutilator will lose its last 2 wounds and be killed off, leaving 1 model left alive in the squad. The commander is going to fire his 2 missile pods into the lone mutilator. 4 shots from the 2 missile pods, hitting on 2s, getting 3 hits. Strength 7 versus toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds. Minus 2 AP thanks to an advanced targeting system means 3 4-up armor saves. Passing 2 and failing 1. And it will do 3 damage. And mutilators only have 3 starting wounds, so the final mutilator is killed off. And that squad is wiped out. This Storm Surge is going to fire its cluster rocket system into this squad of 10 Chaos Cultists, and it will fire everything else into the Chaos Land Raider, including the 2 burst cannons, because it is just within 18-inch range. Since the Storm Surge is down to 9 wounds, he has a ballistic skill of 5 up, but gets to add 1 thanks to stabilizing anchors. So beginning with the cluster rocket system into the squad of cultists, 4 D6 shots, getting 13 shots, hitting on 4s, getting 7 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting 4 wounds. Minus 1 AP, but plus 1 thanks to the crater, so 4 6-up armor saves, failing all 4. So 4 Chaos Cultists will go down, leaving 6 left alive in the squad. Now for all of the weapons firing into the Chaos Land Raider, beginning with the Pulse Driver Cannon, which will fire D6 shots, and it will get 6 shots. Thanks to the marker lights, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting a 4th hit. Strength 10 versus toughness 8 means wounding on 3s. Wow, that's really, really bad. Getting 1 wound. Minus 4 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system means 1 6-up armor save, which fails. And it will do D6 damage, and it will do 6 damage. So the Chaos Land Raider will fall from 9 wounds down to 3 left. 8 shots from the 2 burst cannons, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, and getting all 8 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 3 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 3 3-up armor saves, passing 2 and failing 1. So the Chaos Land Raider will fall from 3 wounds down to 2. And finally, 8 shots from the 2 smart missile systems, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 5 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting a 6th hit. Strength 5 versus toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 1 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system, so 2 3-up armor saves, and failing both! So the Land Raider will perfectly lose its last 2 wounds and be killed off. Does the Chaos Land Raider explode on a 6? And it does not. So the Land Raider will be removed. And that is a massive advantage for the Tau. So finally, this squad of 10 Fire Warriors are all in 30-inch range and will fire their pulse rifles into Karn the Betrayer, which they can do because he is the closest visible enemy unit. 10 shots, hitting on 4s, getting 4 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds. No AP, but plus 1 thanks to the crater, so 3 2-up armor saves. And of course, rolling 2 1s. So Karn the Betrayer will fall from 5 starting wounds down to 3. Going into the assault phase, there are no charges to declare, which means going into the fight phase, there are no fights to resolve. And going into the morale phase, this squad of Pathfinders lost 1 model this turn. However, the Pathfinder Shazwi has a leadership of 7, so it is impossible for them to fail. However, this squad of Chaos Cultists lost 4 models this turn. And the Cultist Champion only has a leadership of 6, so they could fail on a 3-up, and they roll a 4. So 2 additional cultists will be killed off, leaving 4 models left alive in the squad. At the end of the player turn, the Tau Empire are currently controlling 3 objective markers, which means they will gain 3 victory points this turn. And so at the end of Tau Empire turn 2, the score currently sits at 7 victory points for the Tau Empire and 6 victory points for the World Eaters. Going into World Eaters, turn 3. A reminder that the World Eaters have 0 command points available, and the Tau Empire also have 0 command points available. Going into the movement phase, this squad of Chaos Cultists will remain still. The Warlord, Demon Prince of Khorne with wings, will move up to 12 inches and also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll. Rolling for 1 additional inch. So the Warlord, Demon Prince of Khorne with wings will move up to 13 inches. And now the World Eaters have a dilemma. Do they keep Karn the Betrayer back to sit and hold this objective marker, guaranteeing a victory point as long as Karn is alive, also giving Karn a cover save since he only has a 3-up armor? Or does he move forward and attempt to charge, exposing himself to the rest of the Tau firepower? I think, unfortunately for the World Eaters, they're guaranteed to be tabled either way in the next Tau turn, so they might as well try to go out with a bang and have Karn slay as many Tau Fire Warriors as he possibly can. So Karn will move up to 6 inches. Going into the shooting phase, the Warlord, Demon Prince of Khorne with wings, will fire his Warp Bolter into the squad of 5 Pathfinders. 2 shots hitting on 3s thanks to advancing and firing an assault weapon, rerolling 1s thanks to himself, getting 2 hits. Strength 4 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s. Both fail to wound. Karn the Betrayer will fire his plasma pistol into this squad of 6 fire warriors. 1 shot, hitting on a 2, and it hits. Strength 8 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on a 2, and it fails to wound. Going into the assault phase, Karn the Betrayer will declare a charge into this squad of 6 fire warriors, and the Warlord, Demon Prince of Khorne with wings, will declare a multi-charge into this Cadre Fireblade, the Wounded Storm Surge, and the squad of 5 Pathfinders. This, of course, will mean that the commander and the squad of 10 fire warriors will be able to help in Overwatch against the Demon Prince of Khorne. And so we will begin with the charge from Karn the Betrayer into the squad of 6 fire warriors. All 6 fire warriors can see, so they will all fire with their pulse rifles in rapid fire range at 3 shots apiece, thanks to still being within 6 inches of Cadre Fireblade for 18 shots total. This squad will not throw any photon grenades, hitting on 5s and 6s, getting 4 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds. No AP, so 3-up armor saves, and failing all 3, rolling triple 1s. So Karn the Betrayer will lose his 3 final wounds and be killed off to Tau Overwatch. And that will be another kill point for the Tau Empire. So now this means we will resolve the charge from the Demon Prince of Khorne with wings, and because the Fire Warriors who just killed off Karn are within 6 inches of the Cadre Fireblade who is being charged, I think they are allowed to now help out against the Demon Prince. They just wouldn't be able to fire any more Overwatch after this volley, but they will get to add in for this fight as well. And a quick question for everyone watching, I should say for those still watching at this point, can marker lights be used in Overwatch? Because it doesn't say in the codex and it doesn't say in the FAQ. For this particular battle report, I will play it as if they can't. So we will just fire pulse carbines and photon grenades. But please let me know if they can, because having a squad of 10 marker lights fire first could potentially be incredibly helpful. So let's resolve the Overwatch. So we will begin with the Cadre Fireblade, throwing a photon grenade, which will do D6 shots, getting 2 shots, hitting on 5s and 6s, both fail to hit. Now the Pathfinder Shazwi will throw a photon grenade, D6 shots, getting 2 shots, hitting on 5s and 6s, both fail to hit. 2 pulse carbines from the 2 regular Pathfinders, hitting on 5s and 6s, getting 1 hit. Strength 5 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on a 5, and it wounds. No AP, so 1 3-up armor save, which passes. 2 ion rifles will fire overcharged shots, so D3 shots apiece. One will fire 1 shot and the other will fire 2. So beginning with the rifle that will fire 1 shot, hitting on a 5 or 6, and rolling a 1. So 1 ion rifle is killed off. Now for the second ion rifle, which is firing 2 shots, hitting on 5s and 6s, getting 1 hit. Strength 8 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. -1 AP, so 1 4-up armor save, which fails. And it will do 2 damage, so the Warlord Demon Prince of Khorne with Wings will fall from 8 starting wounds down to 6, and one of the ion rifles will be killed off, leaving 4 models left alive in the squad. Now the Fire Warrior squad will shoot Overwatch, beginning with the Fire Warrior Shazwi, who will throw a photon grenade. D6 shots, getting 3 shots, hitting on 5s and 6s, getting 1 hit, so the Demon Prince of Khorne with Wings will have to subtract 1 from hit rolls. Now for 15 shots from the 5 regular Fire Warriors, all in rapid fire range of the Demon Prince and within 6 inches of the Kadra Fireblade, hitting on 5s and 6s, getting a really good hit roll of 8 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, getting 4 wounds. No AP, so 4 3-up armor saves, passing all 4. And I do apologize, but I need to go back briefly a moment to this squad of Pathfinders, because these pulse carbines are definitely at half range against the Demon Prince, so they would have gotten an extra shot apiece, thanks to being right next to the Kadra Fireblade, so 2 extra shots, hitting on 5s and 6s, and both fail to hit. Now the squad of 10 Pathfinders will fire their pulse carbines. They are not within 6 inches of the Kadra Fireblade, but they all are within 18-inch range of the Demon Prince, so 20 shots total with the pulse carbines, hitting on 5s and 6s, getting 10 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, getting 1 wound. No AP, so 1 3-up armor save, which passes. The commander will now fire his missile pods. 2 missile pods means 4 shots total, hitting on 5s and 6s, getting 2 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 2 AP thanks to the advanced targeting system means 2 5-up and vulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1. And it will do D3 damage, and it will do 3 damage. So the Demon Prince of Khorne with Wings, who is the Warlord, will fall from 6 wounds down to 3 left. Also, I do have one more question when it comes to Overwatch, and that's Overwatch from Storm Surges who have their stabilizing anchors deployed. Do they get to add 1 to hit rolls when firing Overwatch? I'm not sure they do, so I will play this out as if they don't get the +1 from the stabilizing anchors. But if they do, that would be very helpful. So please let me know in the comments down below. So finally, onto the Storm Surges Overwatch. We will begin with the Pulse Driver Cannon. D6 shots, getting 5 shots. Hitting on 5s and 6s, getting 3 hits. Strength 10 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds. Minus 4 AP, thanks to the advanced targeting system, means 3 5-up and vulnerable saves, passing 1 but failing 2. D6 damage apiece, so anything other than double 1s, getting 9 damage. Should have started with that, because that would have wiped out the Demon Prince all on its own. So the Demon Prince will lose its last 3 wounds and be killed off. And that is Slay the Warlord. So going into the fight phase, there are no fights to resolve. So going into the morale phase, this squad of Pathfinders lost 1 model this turn, but the Pathfinder Shazwi has leadership of 7, so it's impossible for them to fail. At the end of the player turn, the World Eaters are only controlling 1 objective marker, so they will gain only 1 victory point for this turn. And so at the end of World Eaters turn 3, the score currently sits at 7 victory points for the World Eaters and 8 victory points for the Tau Empire, thanks to Slay the Warlord. Going into Tau Empire turn 3, a reminder that the Tau Empire have 0 command points available, and the World Eaters also have 0 command points available. Going into the movement phase, this squad of 10 Pathfinders is going to move up to 6 inches. Now the fully healthy Storm Surge is going to release its anchors and move up to 6 inches. Everything else within the Tau army will remain still. Going into the shooting phase, we will begin with the fully healthy Storm Surge, which moved, which will fire its Pulse Driver Cannon and its Cluster Rocket System into this squad of 4 Chaos Cultists. The Storm Surge needed to move because it was just over 48 inches away at the beginning of the turn, and it needed to get in range. Let's see if anything else even needs to be fired. We will begin with the Cluster Rocket System, so 4 D6 shots, getting 12 12 shots. 12 shots, hitting on 4s. No rerolls. Getting 6 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 3s. Getting 6 wounds. Minus 1 AP, but plus 1 thanks to the crater, so 6. 6 up armor saves. Failing all 6. So we could have done that with the wounded Storm Surge who stayed still. We didn't even need to move anybody. And so the final 4 cultists are wiped out, which means that that squad is wiped out, and also that means that the World Eaters are tabled. So the game is now over. And as soon as the World Eaters were tabled, that did mean that the turn for the Tau Empire ended, which means that they do get victory points for holding objective markers this turn. And the Tau Empire are currently controlling 3 objective markers. They will gain an additional 3 victory points. So they go up from 8 to 11. And then we also need to add in kill points. So before kill points are added in, we have a score of 11 to 7 in the Tau Empire favor. The World Eaters successfully finished off 2 Tau Empire units, a Cadre Fireblade and a squad of Fire Warriors, so they will get 2 victory points for that, which will bring the World Eaters up to a final score of 9 victory points. And the Tau tabled the World Eaters, which means they successfully killed off all 8 units that the World Eaters brought. So the Tau Empire will gain 8 victory points for that, which will bring them up to a final score of 19 victory points. And neither side will achieve Line Breaker, which means we have a final score of 19 victory points to 9 in the Tau Empire favor, with a major victory for the Tau Empire thanks to tabling the World Eaters in Tau Empire turn 3. So now that the game is over, I can give 1 or 2 of my final thoughts on this particular game, although there's not really much to talk about this time. I don't need to give my reason for concession, since the World Eaters were tabled, and that pretty much speaks for itself. The Tau clearly had more firepower than the World Eaters did in this matchup, and it showed. I would also just like to point out how good the luck was on the Tau Empire side, however, and how horrible the luck was on the World Eater side. The fact that the Chaos Land Raider was perfectly killed off in turn 2 after starting with full health, the fact that the Khorne Lord of Skulls was destroyed in turn 1, I think the only lucky dice roll that the World Eaters had in the entire game was the fact that they won the roll-off to go first, and that the Tau Empire didn't seize the initiative. Because had the Tau been able to go first, I think this game would have ended a whole turn earlier. If the Tau Empire had gone first, I don't think the Mutilators would have made it into combat. Because I can tell you right now what would have happened turn 1 would have been that the Tau would have focused on the Khorne Lord of Skulls first, but then the World Eaters would have had to take their first turn to move the Land Raider up, and then in Tau Empire turn 2, would have blown up the Land Raider with the Mutilators still inside. And if the Khorne Lord of Skulls is killed off before it can shoot anything, my assumption would be that the Storm Surge who is wounded would not have been dropped down to a second tier quite so quickly. And he might have had 2 or even 3 turns with his best ballistic skill. And on the other side of the ball, I think the Tau got very lucky with killing off both Karn the Betrayer and the Demon Prince of Khorne in Overwatch, which is just insane. So all in all, I'm quite happy with this Tau Empire list. I'm not quite sure what to think about the World Eaters. The Mutilators did not do nearly as much as I thought they were going to in close combat, even against Toughness 3 infantry like Fire Warriors. I'm surprised at how little they managed to kill off. Although to be fair, they did lose a model in Overwatch before making it into combat. Overall, I thought it was a pretty interesting game. I really hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.